Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Post Raw. I am Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com. I'm going to be joined here in a few minutes by Victoria. We have a little one that woke up upstairs, and she's putting her back down to bed, but I figured I'd hop on here and say hello to everybody first and kind of get this Raw review started because the show is what it is. It's not getting any better. It just isn't. And it doesn't seem like sluggish ticket sales, the fact that they're going to be going on the road before a live crowd again seems to be motivating them whatsoever. It just, they are just giving you this. And for all we know, it's like for the longest time, it was like, they're holding off. They're waiting to bring out their best storylines again until they get crowds back. Well, it's like they had crowds at WrestleMania, and honestly, the WrestleMania build was one of the worst WrestleMania builds I've ever seen. It was just like they were just living off of the goodwill that they were going to have fans back. It's like, oh, good, we're going to have fans back for WrestleMania. That's excellent. And who cares what the stories are, because we're going to have wrestling fans back, and wrestling is going to be, like how it should be, not like with this ThunderDome thing with a guy pressing the cheer button and the boo button, and that's that's just not a realistic world. But on its face, it was just a terrible build. And now that we're looking at going back on the road almost full time, in states that are, all states are getting unlocked. I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing them coming around me soon. It's like New Jersey opened everything up. New York's opened everything up. I wonder if they'll make their way over here in the fall. But what they're presenting on television, they were getting sluggish ticket sales in their big markets like Chicago and Texas. And these are places that haven't seen wrestling in at least a year and a half. Some places haven't seen wrestling in a full 2 years. And yes, I get it. There's going to be some people hesitant about coming back, in the pandemic, so soon after a pandemic. But, other sports aren't really, not that WWE is a sport, but other sports aren't really feeling that squeeze. I turn on a baseball game, it's like nothing ever happened. It's like there's people in the stands on top of each other. I've gone to a few events since they took away the unmasking. Since they took away the mask policies around Memorial Day weekend, and people have just been on top of each other. It's like what pandemic? We had a pandemic. We were in the house for almost a year and a half. Are you kidding me? So WWE, they can't really fall on that excuse. The only excuse they can really fall on is, number one, yes, they kind of priced their ticket sales pretty high, but number two, who's going to pay a high ticket price to come and see what they're presenting? What, like, who? Who's going to do it? Like, what stars do they have that you really would want to come out and see? Like, especially with this brand split. This brand split is just murder at this point. I watched, the final 45 minutes of this Raw. That was just like one segment stretched out for almost a full hour because the roster is so thin and it just keeps getting thinner. They keep releasing more people. Like the main event scene on Raw is like so pathetic. It just is. They're trying to retcon Kofi Kingston back in the main event. I love Kofi Kingston. He should have been in the main event all along, but he wasn't. Now it's like, oh well, we need a hand, and oh, here's Kofi. It's like that's not how you really want him to get in the main event. But I guess any way is a good way, I suppose. But like on the Raw side, it's like Drew McIntyre. Like they've got him talking about Scottish heroes and William Wallace, and he's calling him Big Willie, and he's making innuendos about testicles. It's like, oh my gosh, like what are they doing with Drew McIntyre? What are they doing? And it's like, he pins Bobby Lashley clean tonight. It's like, WWE booking doesn't follow any logic anymore. So Drew McIntyre very well could win, but traditionally, if whoever gets pinned, heading into the pay-per-view, if they are the person facing, the person that they're pinning, that person that got pinned usually is the one that goes over. So Bobby Lashley looks to be retaining the WWE title on Sunday. We'll see. And Drew McIntyre has no more opportunities at the title. So what does that mean? Like who else is in the main event scene? Kofi Kingston, I guess. Bobby Lashley versus Kofi Kingston. And then what? Who else? What's the big SummerSlam match? Are they bringing back Brock Lesnar? Like, what's the big marquee on Raw? I cannot think. I just can't think of it. It just doesn't exist. And on SmackDown, they have almost the exact same kind of champion in Roman Reigns, where it's like, who could beat this guy? He's untouchable. You know, what kind of challengers do they realistically have? They're putting Rey Mysterio in there. You know, Rey Mysterio has no chance. It's like, why? You know, it's like, I'm wrestling with the decision now. Do I recap on Sunday on Father's Day and cut my Father's Day short and recap, or do I hand it off to somebody else? There's just nothing worth seeing. I've seen Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley a million times. I'm kind of sure I know how it's going to end too. Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio, I definitely know how it's going to end. And to show you just how one-dimensional this company's become, look at NXT. Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns, for all intents and purposes, are the same, except they even have a great speaking manager. Except Roman Reigns is a much better promo than Bobby Lashley is. NXT is the exact same thing. Karrion Kross holding the NXT title with a manager who speaks for him. Untouchable, unbeatable. He just, in a 5-way on Sunday, he beat the best that NXT has to offer. So what's next for Karrion Kross? Are they bringing back Keith Lee to NXT? I know they hired back Samoa Joe, but he's not cleared to compete. What are we doing? That's all I want to know. That's the only thing that I'm really interested in, is what the hell is going on here. But let's see what the hell is going on in the chat room and say hello to everybody. So I'm going to say hello to you, and I hope you'll say hello to me. So let me scroll up. There's a lot of messages while I was talking. So thank you everybody for joining me. Okay. So we got Uncle Billy is here tonight. We got Uncle Billy Hefner. We have Daniel Schell here. He barely watched outside of Alexa, so he's just here for the post show. Thank you, Daniel. It's good to have you here. Andrew Elder, the Wrestleview Fiend. He is here with us. We got Gills fan. We got Michael Ryan. Hello. We have Billy Wade. Why is Eve back? She's here to save the women's division. Bill. Nafis Sadat. Oh, hello. That was loud. Let's see. I have a soundboard attached to this thing. I just lowered it a little bit. I did watch a video back last week and it was kind of loud. Let me know if the audio levels are too much or if it's okay. We got Moshoon Walls here. Hello, Tedescos and peeps. Louis Veraldi, those blinds, they are beautiful. They are beautiful. And they are automated. So I can raise them and lower them with the app on my phone. It's beautiful. They go down at sunset. It's just the best purchase I've ever made. Let's see. We got Goosey here. The pandemic is pretty much over. It's your own fault if you don't get vaccinated. Agreed. I agree with that, Goose. At this point, can't deny science. Just get the damn vaccine if you want to go back to living your life and not living in fear anymore. I got my vaccine. It wasn't fun to get the vaccine, but the hell I did it. I just want to. I don't want any. If I go to a show in New York City, I don't want any BS about. Oh, you show us your vaccine card. You can't enter. It's like, nope, I got mine. You're not going to stop me from living my life. Mr. V is here. Hi, Mike. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Mr. V. Let's see. Jorge Oliva. Hola, familia. Leaving the title on Lashley makes more business sense than putting it on Drew, right? So, who will be the best challenge for him at SummerSlam, considering all brands? Well, I think the best challenge for Lashley, obviously, once he goes through Drew McIntyre, there's really nobody else credible. Like, they'll do Kofi Kingston maybe, but they got to make a big move. And I was talking about sluggish ticket sales before, Jorge, and Jorge asked a good question here, so I'll just put it up there. I was talking about the sluggish ticket sales. Like, we're less than a month away now from the first live show before a crowd, pretty much. Bad ticket sales. I would have thought tonight would have been the night to start shooting a big angle. Maybe they can do it next week. Try to get people excited about, wanting to buy tickets, to to their Texas shows, to their Midwest shows. No big angles tonight unless they really think that Alexa Bliss is going to be a needle mover here, which is just that's just not wrestling. It's not professional wrestling. No, and it's it's like I had a lot of people say, oh well, it was the most watched thing, on YouTube, because people hear how bad this stuff is, and it's like I got to tune in just to see how bad it is. It's like they're not watching the television show; they're just watching a clip on YouTube, going, "Wow, glad I don't watch that crap anymore." Yes. Now you could turn around and say, yeah, but they're watching it still. Yeah. Don't you catch more flies with honey? You catch more flies with honey. And if people hate watching it, it's going to get old after a while. Eventually they just turn it off and don't come back. Lots of people in this chat room have made that decision to turn it off and not come back. That's not a sustainable business model, to just book the worst possible stuff that you can try to book, even though I think that they think this is really good stuff, which is the really scary thing. And try to build an audience that way. It's not possible. And people say, oh, they're booking it for children. I teach high school. Like, no one talks about professional wrestling. Nobody. I talk to a lot of people. They do. There's at least in my school, in my town, there is nobody, that's in the age range that WWE wants, that's talking about wrestling, or they're like, oh God, yeah, I remember that from when I was a kid, and it sucks. It's like, they're not doing a good job reaching those people. Quentin Walters here, our buddy Quentin Walters. And I think I got everybody. I am Alpha is here. All right, good. And Victoria just got downstairs, so she will be joining us momentarily. I know that. So let me just shoot her over the link to get into this, and she will be popping on before you know it. And then you won't have to hear just my voice. You can hear Victoria's as well. All right, just send that to her. There we go. All right. So Liliana is asleep. That is a good thing. All right. So I have to talk about Raw. I just have to. We got Corey Hell. Hello, Corey. Shell, how much money did Vince pay the USA Network to say that? Grash is here. Brian's here. Hey, everybody. All right, good. All right. I'm getting more people. Grash says, I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown since I last moved. I have internet, but not cable. You're not missing much. You're not missing much at all. At all. So, as I try to stall for more time for Miss Victoria to get here. Sorry. Well, you have the link in your email. Okay. All right. There's really not much good that I could really say about this show. Now, the in-ring stuff was good, but it's like all stuff that we've seen a million times already, as usual. It's most of these shows are just rehashes of everything that they've done in the past. The only thing that I was really happy about was I don't even remember what I was going to say because I just got distracted by you taking those pillows down. About the only thing that was like really good about this show was that, again, the in-ring product I didn't think was bad. I saw some people like really ripping on the in-ring product, which I didn't really get. Especially like AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre. I thought they had a really good interaction, but people weren't into it. They did debut Eva Marie as a heel. That I actually liked. Okay, Victoria's here. Fix your camera first. Look at your camera.
I cannot see. I don't have any. I'm a hot mess today. Okay.
She's a hot mess. Bring it down.
Like that.
Yes.
Is that good now?
Yes.
Can everyone hear me?
Here she is.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm really sorry. It's been a day.
It's been a day.
It has been a day. Everybody.
Victoria.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So
sorry about that.
So people are saying that we get summer vacation, which means it's good to be a teacher, which that's
we
kinda,
do and we
it's kinda
don't.
true.
Like
It's kinda
we
true.
do and you don't. You know, we're working all summer, so we don't really get much of a break. And there's still classes we need to take and things like that. So
Yeah, actually, this is going to be like my busiest summer of all that I've ever had as a teacher. I just got professional development. I got
Yeah,
union things I
exactly.
got to do. It's like tons
There's
of
a
stuff.
ton of stuff.
I'm going to start my master's in September. It's going to be like, but I'll still recap wrestling.
We'll still recap
We'll
wrestling.
still recap wrestling. Maybe.
See how we
All right. So, Victoria, let's talk about the big news first. Eva Marie came back.
Eva Marie's back.
And poor Naomi had to be job fodder for her.
Mm-hmm.
She went from obviously teaming with Lana in a jobber tag team to now just being a singles jobber.
Right.
And getting flattened by Piper Niven from NXT UK. And the commentators had to pretend to not know who Piper Niven was.
They had to pretend.
Yes, they're like, who is this person?
Oh my goodness.
Like, we don't watch our own product.
That's always,
is that not the most insulting thing?
well, it is insulting
so
for so many reasons, because it's not like they're consistently pretending that they don't watch the product. There are certain individuals who are clearly in NXT that they bring up and they're like, oh, so-and-so's up, right? So-and-so just came up. And then there's instances like tonight where it's like, oh, we have no idea who that person is. So if you're going to pretend you don't know who it is, be consistent about it. And if you do, obviously, if they do like recognize people from their own product, then fine. Yes, totally, whatever. The inconsistency component is always what's like, why?
Well, everything is just,
but everything's inconsistent.
There's no continuity on the show. No. There's no
but just in general, that's a prime example.
Long-term booked. It's just all scenarios. That's all.
It's just that's just a prime example though of like, oh wow, so and so's here. Who is that? And then there's other times like, oh, I know who that is.
Where they change your name.
Yeah. Or they're like randomly, or they're totally, or they're a totally different person entirely than what they were.
Andrew Elder says that just announced on Twitter her new name. Piper Niven has a new name?
What?
What did they name Piper Niven? Like, Viper Piper Niven?
Oh, so the Viper's add in there?
That's Viper
That's interesting.
Piper Niven. I thought we already had a Viper on this damn show. But then again, everybody has the same moves.
Everyone steals each other's crap.
Everybody does the same stuff. You know, it's like now Drew McIntyre is pulling out the Michinoku driver again.
Nothing is sacred.
Jackson Riker did the Bobby Lashley's one-arm spine buster. It's like, come on.
I kind of think of it in terms of, you know, back when things were good and back when things were the way they were in WWE, WWF time, when you had an individual, like you wouldn't even dare to dream of taking somebody's moves, right? You wouldn't even think of taking their signature or this, that, and the other thing. Now it's just so common. Now it's like, oh, it's a free for all. There's no limits to what anybody can do in this company, essentially, at this point.
I know.
But yeah, even Marie coming back, I don't know. What did you talk about it at all before or now? Did you have a chance to talk about, like, dive into it at all?
No. I was just
you're
waiting about just how really just bad the show is. We say hello to Slipmush is here. Did I miss anything since I last watched 3 months ago? No. Okay. Awesome. Good to hear the Tedesco's voices again. It's good to have you back with us.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. Manon Palmer, we say hello to you, and Manon says that Raw is garbage.
I can't disagree with that.
Can't disagree with that
no.
at all. Mr. V coming out with some analytics here. Honestly, the problem, there's not one single full-time wrestler to invest your time and money in. Cena was the last one that got my attention weekly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You know, like these sluggish ticket sales, like you can really pinpoint it to the fact Raw equals Tedesco's old curtains. That's true. You can really
true.
You know, tie the sluggish ticket sales into the fact that number one, they just took a dump for the last year and a couple months since they lost the crowds, and they've just been doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I honestly think and you're gonna think I'm crazy. And
Well, I already
and,
think you're
and
crazy. So
okay,
go
good.
ahead.
Well, then you're gonna think that I'm overreacting a little bit, but
Okay.
I do not think that creative from a creative standpoint,
Okay.
and a roster standpoint,
Okay.
and getting and a star making standpoint, that other than Roman Reigns, who really emerged during this time, I guess you could say Drew McIntyre, but he's kind of slipping now. He just is. Mr. TRM says SmackDown is better than Raw. I agree with that, but SmackDown's also 2 hours, and SmackDown has its own issues too. I don't think they'll recover from the effects of this from a creative standpoint. Minimum 5 years, minimum.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think that they ever do. It's like
fully.
I don't think they ever fully recover from this.
I agree.
I think when I listen to Triple H's Paul Levesque's NXT pre-conference.
What did my friend say?
Just he was delusional, just like, everybody gets mad when somebody gets called up, and that they're not being used the way they want them to. Just let it play out. It's like he's using the same BS let it play out stuff that other idiots have said in the past.
Yeah,
it's like, let it play out. We've been letting stuff play out.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this moment, these moments or whatever.
Yes, there are certain times when you critique stuff and it's like, it wasn't good that week, and it's like, oh, this is just bad, and it's not. Some people overreact. I try not to do that, but I think I've been dead on.
I think
with everything that
you can be fair and say that, absolutely.
Like, I knew the Fiend stuff was dead in the water and was going to kill business, and it is. Like, there's no question about it. Yes, they're getting more revenue than ever, but they're living off of the past, not their present.
Yes, 100%.
Anyway. I just
don't
see it recovering.
Well, here's the thing. I think with that being said,
anyway, sorry about the play it out thing. Like, we've been giving them years to let certain things play out. Triple H is now telling us, let it play out. Let what play out? There's no stars.
I know, we're always trying to do that.
There's no stars. The stories are terrible. They don't book long term. They've gone on the record and talked constantly about how Raw is being written as the show is going on. You cannot have a successful television show without long-term planning.
No.
And I was watching this tonight. The pointless Sarah Schreiber and Kevin Patrick interviews that they do now. It's the same exact format with the same exact generic questions, with the same exact, insert loser here holding a microphone that they've been doing for a decade or more. Like none of these people have a personality. Like, Renee Young was the last one that had any personality. I don't mind having like a Mean Gene Okerlund type interviewer, but they don't even want them to have personality. They have to act like robots. They have to act like idiots. And they always pop up. They always pop up at a time. Like right when the camera's there, and they have a pointless question that means nothing. It's like, there's nothing. There's quite literally nothing fresh about this show.
Everything
and whatever they're trying to bring in that's fresh is like this horror movie bullshit, and it's not working. It's just not working. Nafis comes up with the best point here. I remember liking the interviews at the beginning of WrestleMania Night 1 when the rain was pouring. You know why you liked them, Nafis? Because they weren't scripted. They had no plans of, obviously, they had no contingency plan when they had to postpone the show for a half hour because it was thundering and it was dangerous to be outside. They let these people cut a promo, and what platform has more pressure than WrestleMania? And now it's like, okay, you haven't cut an unscripted promo in years, but you're going to have to do it right now and get everybody excited about your match tonight. Go. And almost everybody, except ironically enough, Shane McMahon stepped up to the plate and cut a really, really good promo. That was interesting. That felt fresh and different. And it felt like they were speaking for their characters rather than speaking the words that somebody is telling them to speak that they think represents their character. These are people that live the character, getting to finally use their own voice. That's why everybody liked those things. And it's like they were so successful. And obviously they proved we can do unscripted promos, but they won't let him do it. They still won't let him do it. We got Chris LG in the chat room asking, do I like Jimmy Smith as do we like Jimmy Smith as play-by-play? I was going to talk about that. And I know you want to talk, so I'm going to give you a moment to talk about what you were going to say. I had to finish up the point about letting things play out, but I'll go into the Jimmy Smith thing in a few. But Victoria's got her thing that she wants to talk about.
I don't really remember, to be honest with you.
Darn it. Well, what do you think of Jimmy Smith?
Nah. I mean, not terrible. I would say better than, who was the other one?
Adnan Virk.
Yeah, I would say better than that, individual.
Oh,
but
God, that guy was such a loser.
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you about Jimmy Smith. I guess I got to hear Jimmy Smith now. What a horribly generic name. So that's actually his real name.
Is it really?
It's really his real name. Yeah, Jimmy Smith. Commentator. Just double check. Yep, Jimmy Smith is mixed. He's an MMA commentator now, commentating for WWE. Yes, way better than Adnan Virk. Way better, but Adnan Virk is like it's like like those metal trellises that they put in concrete to kind of give it more support.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's so far below the ground that the bar is not even visible. It's below the ground.
Honestly, I've never commentated before, obviously consistently or any capacity. I feel like I could be on there and doing play-by-plays.
You could be a commentator speaking a language that you don't even know. You could color commentate in Mandarin and be better than Adnan Virk. You could color commentate in Italian and be better than Adnan Virk was. You could change languages. You don't even need to know the language. You would be better than Adnan Virk. He was the worst. There's no the bar is not even visible for what Adnan Virk was.
No.
So it's not really difficult to go above that
but bar. I wouldn't say he's spectacular.
No, but Jimmy Smith got a lot of accolades because after 7 weeks or 8 weeks, however long it was with Adnan Virk, he didn't even get the double digits. Mm-mm. But he was so bad that anything was an improvement. But now we have to, do the post-mortem now and look at the body work that Jimmy Smith has provided for the last 3 weeks. And it's the same thing. He's better than Adnan Virk, but at the end of the day, this man does not know the product. He doesn't know what's going on in the ring. He's got the Vince McMahon, color commentator thing. Oh, what a maneuver. Oh, nice move. He knows a suplex. That's good.
I don't think they should hire people that I don't think they should hire people that can listen to what?
What are you going to say?
I don't think they should hire people not who can listen to somebody talk in their ear. Like that's fine and dandy if you can manage to. I mean, I do give those individuals credit for hearing Vince McMahon constantly in your ear. I do. I get that. That to me, that would really trip me up a lot. To be honest, I don't know if I could deal with somebody talking in my ear 24/7 the entire night. So I will give them credit for that. Anybody who's done it. But I think what's really difficult is that if you're somebody who they can feed lines to, awesome, great, no problem. But eventually you can tell when it's not authentic anymore. And they supposedly hire these individuals that, I know the product. I know WWE, I know whatever. But wasn't Jimmy Smith an individual also said, oh yeah, I know the product from years ago. Like he watched back in the 90s or whatever it was. And he doesn't know the product today. And granted, I think a lot of us don't really know what the heck's going on with the product today. But
the when people that write it don't even know
a product, you know what I mean? I would rather an individual that hires who knows what they're talking about. And again, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's been doing better than the other one. But I don't think that it's anything it will just be complacent after a while, and it's just going to be the same old nonsense of everything's just going to be fed lines. He doesn't really know. And that's not his fault. Obviously, you know, when you take an opportunity or taking an opportunity for yourself, that's fine. You know what I mean? But me personally would prefer somebody who knows the product, is excited about the product, and just has a little bit more information as opposed to what you thought WWE was and WWF was back in the day. That's my thing.
Yeah. You know, he talked about on a radio show or podcast or something like that. Jimmy Smith said, like, you know, and this is a guy who's a successful commentator.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with like Mauro Ranallo, who, yes, he's extra on professional wrestling. And in NXT, he certainly had that reputation of just being the screaming guy. But Mauro Ranallo has called some of the biggest, most viewed, you know, highest revenue pay-per-views that have ever been. Some huge boxing matches. This is a guy that is at the top of the craft, but he gets to WWE and they're telling this world-class commentator that you don't know how to do your job and we're going to teach you how to do it better.
Right. And I think that
there hasn't been a single good commentator that's been made that wasn't made 25 years ago or longer.
Right. I
like,
think
like, you know, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, they keep bringing back, you know, like those guys, like Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone are commentating on AEW Dynamite with Excalibur, who's actually really good, but they're not working in the confines of this WWE bizarre world high, you know, commentary school anymore. You know, like what good commentators that have had iconic calls have emerged in the last 20 years?
I think
from WWE, none. Michael Cole, you know, it was the late 90s and he's still sticking around. He's good. You know, it's like, you know, I guess like anybody who, like, former wrestlers are always good. Samoa Joe was good at the role.
He was good.
But I'm talking about like play-by-play guys, lead announcers. There's like nobody. Like Tom Phillips was the only guy, and they freaking got rid of him.
He knew the product and he knew
Tom
it well.
Phillips
And
knew,
he was,
you know what Tom Phillips' problem was? He knew the product. Like that's an issue. He knew the product. He liked professional wrestling. That's another no-no. Don't like wrestling. Don't talk about what's going on in front of the people. Like that's crazy. You know, like you watch a baseball broadcast. Yes, they're trying to sell you on, you know, watching the game and watching future games and getting excited about the team and maybe even buy a ticket. Maybe even buy a ticket to come to a game. But they can have conversations, even in football. They can have conversations about what's, you know, about the overall game and the overall team and all that stuff. But they can also describe to you what's going on right in front of you. I never understood why it's like, oh, don't call wrestling. Just talk about, you know, like the main event. Like, no, that's just dumb. It just doesn't work. And they think like, oh, we'll bring somebody in who's never done it and we'll just tell them what to say. And it stinks. Like Jimmy Smith, he's a good commentator outside of wrestling. He doesn't know wrestling, and it shows. So that's a weak point, you know, when they actually have him talk about wrestling, and he's okay at selling, you know, the future, but he doesn't. But it's not good. And on a 3-hour show that feels like a marathon every single time you watch it, you know, having somebody that doesn't know the product and doesn't even really sound like he believes in the product, it's not good. It's not good. So much, but Mr. Tedesco, Bruce Pritchard, and Vince says we tell stories now. You can tell stories and still commentate on what's going on. I just laid out the whole thing. Vince and Bruce are idiots. Since Bruce Pritchard has come on, the ratings have never been lower and the stories have never been worse. Bruce, look, everybody's always like, oh, you know, everybody's too woke for their own good. Oh, don't ever say that somebody needs to be out of a job. And, you know, everybody has a family to support. Well, Bruce has made his money. Okay. Bruce has made his money. Time to go. I'm sorry. He's got his podcast. He'll have his advertising. He'll land on his feet somewhere. He could probably go work for Impact or something stupid like that. But Bruce Pritchard is killing like WWE's professional wrestling, whatever the hell it is now, by kissing Vince's ass so much that he doesn't say no to all the crazy whims. There needs to be somebody there that says, no, old man, that's not how it works.
But
and Bruce isn't that guy.
They're not.
So if Bruce isn't going to be that guy, he's got to go. He's made his money. Like Bruce isn't going to be hurt if he's not in WWE anymore.
But
or just demote him.
But they're not there to stay though.
What's that?
If you become somebody who goes against him, you don't stay. That's why nobody.
Right.
So
I know.
So that's why he's being a yes man, because if you go against the vision, then you're out.
You're right. You're 100% right about that. So
why are you going to do that?
So I guess,
if you want a job, you're not going to say yes.
So I guess instead of Bruce, it's Vince that's got to go. Vince has to, it's like
everybody knows the deal.
Everybody knows it's true.
But everybody knows the deal. Everybody knows the deal with him. If you're never going to get a word in edgewise when it comes to Vince McMahon, it doesn't matter. No matter how you slice it, how you dice it, it's just never going to happen. And especially, think about it. Even, what's interesting about him? He doesn't even play nepotism. Like his own daughter can't get through to him. Like he can't even sit back and say to himself, like, okay, maybe she's right. Or you know what? Maybe I will take a step back. Maybe I will let her have a little bit of control and, whatever. He can't do that. So it's amazing to see because, you think of like any type of, again, office job, teaching job, whatever, nepotism always plays a role in some capacity. He doesn't even allow, again, his own family, his own son, mind you, had to they left his company and didn't allow him to have any creative control over anything. So we think that an individual who's not related to him is going to get him to be able to say, like, yes, it's a really good idea. He just doesn't do it. So if you want to keep a job, you're going to yes him to death. And that's been many a problem even with other individuals. Paul Heyman was working with a lot of the storylines and a lot of the creativity. And eventually, you can only fight Vince for so long without it being like, what, it's just a losing battle. I don't even want to deal with this anymore.
Right.
So what's the point? And to go back to the commentating, with Ronaldo, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, okay. Did he scream? Did he get a little excitable? But I'm sorry. That's a personality. And I want people in a professional, exactly. I want people in a professional wrestling and this entertainment company to be recognizable, to be something that other than just status quo of like, okay, you're the monotone voice and the whatever. Who cares if he was excitable? You listened, you watch. It got me into the match. And you know what? He is this world-class commentator in other, like I said, boxing. So that's like to me, that's like a gem. And that was like good to find.
It's a coup to get a guy like
right, that. Exactly. But when you're sitting here and you're saying to yourself, okay, then somebody like that is not going to be good. No. But that's the same reason why, though, somebody like Jim Ross, again, very excitable, very into the matches, knew what he was doing, but Vince didn't like him. At the end of the day, Vince respected Jim Ross to a certain degree, but not a whole lot. There was many ways that he was always
looking for a reason.
Yes.
He was always looking for
a reason to get him out.
Always
looking.
Yeah, that's a great point you brought up though about like.
Sorry if I look, by the way, just real quick. I look perpetually angry. I really cannot see tonight. I feel like I'm getting even. I didn't have time to put my contacts in. I don't know where my glasses are. So sorry if I look perpetually angry this evening. I'm not angry. I swear to you. Go ahead.
Good. So you can't really see what I'm doing over here. That was a good point that you made about, he even has his children working for him, and he like nobody can get through to him. Like Buck, if they write a storyline, it doesn't ever get past him.
Right.
It's so true. Like there's this company, it's never going to get better. And even when Vince steps down, if he ever even does.
Right.
And for all those people that are like, oh, he doesn't look good, but he's also 75. He's going to be 76 years old this year. And he looks good for 76.
Absolutely.
He looks great for 76.
I mean, he still hits the gym.
His mother is alive and she's 102 years old. Vince could be.
He got long genes.
Vince could be around another quarter of a century. Like, who knows?
Well, that's the thing.
Who knows? I don't think he'll ever step
that.
down. I do not think he's ever going to step down.
Oh, I remember I was going to say before.
I think he's going to be carried out in a body bag before he steps down from this company. That's just what I think. But even when whatever it takes, whatever happens that gets him out of the role, it's going to take years to undo all of the damage that he's doing right now. And you know what? Like, the longer he stays in there and is doing things the way that he's doing them right now, the lower the life expectancy of the viability of the company. Honestly, God, like, and it sounds weird to say. I don't think it's ever going to go out of business, but it's just like if they can't secure a TV deal or they can't get on board with the next big thing, like with the WWE Network, they got on board with the next big thing. They were in streaming before streaming was cool. They hit social media in a way that nobody else is really doing. And that's why they got so they're really good at Twitter. They're really good at Facebook. They're really good at YouTube. They're great with all that stuff. But in order to keep moving forward, they have to be on board with the next big thing. The next big thing. The next big thing. If they can't secure a TV deal, if they can't find that next big thing, revenues are not going to be what they were.
No, nope. And I actually remember what I was going to say before about when you were talking about recovery of the company. I 100% agree with you. The fact that it always takes it takes so little time to destroy something, but it takes so much more time to build something back up.
Oh yeah.
And this is a true case of that, because you know what? At the end of the day, they're going to get they're going to get not all fans back, but they're going to get fans back. Fine. That's okay. You'll get people back. And I don't necessarily know if it will be to the point, like, how you mentioned it may not ever fully recover. I agree with that. I think they'll kind of get waves. I think like your bigger shows, right? Your bigger pay-per-views.
Yep.
I think those will drive in a lot more people, maybe more viewership, right? Just because, again, curiosity factor, people are back in the buildings doing things like that. But I don't think it will ever be a consistent thing where people are like genuinely excited. Hey, it's Raw tonight. I don't think we'll ever get back to that. I think that you'll have moments where like, oh, okay, Raw's good. Or you like have like, oh, that pay-per-view was good. But you're never going to get it consistent again, where people are just like so hyped about wrestling.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think the hardcores will always watch, and they're going to watch no matter what. I mean,
I don't even know about that. I mean, I'm hardcore, and it's like,
but you have to be hardcore.
I know. Well, in order to do this job well, I got to be hardcore.
You have to be. And think about it. And off, in all seriousness, off camera, we do say a lot. If it weren't for this show and talking to everybody on here and everything else, would we really be watching the product?
Billy Hafner knows. Billy knows more than anybody. Like when we text during Raw, it's like I don't like. Some segments are so bad that in the moment I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
You don't know if you can do this.
I do not know. I was watching that Alexa Bliss stuff tonight, and I was like, I do mean it. Honest to God, I don't know how much more I can take.
Well, okay.
I don't know how much more.
Can we kind of segue into it? I know,
we got to talk about Raw.
The Raw here,
and we're 44 minutes in the show already. We haven't really started.
Discussing
it yet.
I mean, we don't. Again,
keep this to an hour tonight.
Yeah. But with so they started off the show tonight, and again, what was our immediate reaction?
My immediate reaction is like they did the WWE video with the WWE together, little intro video that they always do.
Yep.
And then the first thing I see is the last thing that I saw on Raw, which was the Alexa Bliss stuff. As soon as I saw her face, my first word was "fuck."
Yep.
That was
it. It really
was.
was.
Not even kidding.
It was no, it's not even an
not
exaggeration. It's not. It's totally not. It's like, really, this is how we're going to start this off. This is where we're at right now. This is exactly where we're at. It's bad enough that we often we really don't get an opening of a match or things like that. 99% of the time you're getting a segment of some sort, but then when that hits you in the face in the first 2 seconds of the show, you're like, oh dear Lord, what are we in for the rest of the evening?
It's just not good.
It takes you out of it.
Now, the one thing they did, they dropped Lily.
They dropped Lily.
They dropped Lily because that's just an absurd goddamn thing.
But yeah, I mean,
no more absurd than Alexa Bliss going like this and Reginald falling into a trance. Are you kidding me? Like, I've lost track of how many fucking superpowers Alexa Bliss has at this point. There's nothing that she can't do.
She's like
it's absurd. It's just so stupid. It's like that's not wrestling. It's just not. Oh, you're in a trance now because I'm doing this. Oh, okay. It's like, oh,
she's a hypnotist.
She can throw up black ink from her mouth. She can make it sweat out of her pores. She can change costumes at will through clever camera cuts.
I wonder where she discovered she can do this, by the way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Apparently, and the whole backstory is that she had this doll, and it's like, oh, so you didn't want to use the doll at any point in the first 5 years of your career, and you could have been,
like superstar.
You could have passed Fabulous Moolah's women's championship reign. If you had the damn doll from the beginning, you could be a 50-year champion. Like, absurd. It's so painful.
Oh man,
it's like the cinematic matches started off good. The Boneyard match was innovative.
Well, like we said, they served their purpose.
The Boneyard match was innovative, so good that Undertaker even felt good about ending his career on the Boneyard match. It's true. The Firefly Funhouse match.
No, it served its purpose. We talked about that.
Was way better than when I first watched it. But it was well done.
It was fine for the time, but now it
has jumped the shark.
We gotta get back to just regular, everyday television. Normalcy in wrestling.
I don't know if they number one, they were struggling to book coherent storylines before the pandemic. I don't even know if they even know what a coherent storyline is.
I don't think they do anymore. I think they're so comfortable with going off the rails at this point.
Well, they've always been about like they hate wrestling.
They hate wrestling.
This is the company that presents professional wrestling that hates professional wrestling, and they think that they can just change all of the tropes of professional wrestling that are tried and true, and it's like you can push the limits, you can push the boundaries as much as you want. Like they did that. Surely they did that in the 90s with Undertaker and Kane. They pushed the limits on what was believable, but that shit jumped the shark too. When Undertaker started crucifying people on his Undertaker symbol and having a black wedding, and gonna do a blood sacrifice and stuff, man, people were like, that's it, enough. And like that was a hole,
right? It's pushed the envelope a little bit.
That was a hole in the Attitude Era when they were doing all that crap. And like the best thing that ever happened was Undertaker tore his pec right off the bone and was gone for months. And then he came back and he reset himself completely, because even he was like, this is just getting ridiculous.
Where he's getting a little out of control.
But here it's like the more ridiculous it gets, it's like, oh, we got to push the envelope even more. Oh, look, we got a lot of YouTube views from Alexa Bliss.
I want a company that's in between, because you have WWE who goes off the rails with their stories, right? These outlandish stories. And they have AEW who goes so crazy about the wrestling part of it that they're like practically killing themselves, where they don't care that somebody like Matt Hardy almost died on literally on camera. But anyways, where's that balance? Where's that balance nowadays where it's like
AEW tells
wrestling
way better stories than WWE does.
Right, but what I'm saying is, it's like they're a little too much though with their pro wrestling component.
I think that I think pro wrestling, the product itself, the in-ring product, while it's great and it's the most athletic product that I think we've ever seen, I think WWE has a great collection of talent. I think AEW has a great collection of talent. I don't think there's ever been more talented people at the art of professional wrestling
we know. Yeah.
collected on television at any time in our history. Now, there have been better characters. Of course, there have been way, way better characters than and more memorable looks and more innovative people. But as far as an in-ring product, this is the best that's ever been amassed.
Yes,
but
and we said that, though.
It's also, but they can do impressive stuff, but the art of professional wrestling is dead.
We said that. I've said that for weeks.
Absolutely
on
dead.
End. I've said that on weeks on end. If you can mix together
Tim Mariconda in the chat room tonight.
Oh, hey. If you mix in the old storylines, those old character developments with the new talent that they have, the real deal, actual in-ring wrestling talent, you have a gold mine. You do. They do. They have everything. They have all those components. If you get those old storylines with those with that character development, not old storylines necessarily, because our times have changed. You can't have all that attitude error BS. Now you just can't. It's a different time, right? Okay. But what I'm saying is, like, if you get good stories with this in-ring talent, it could be unstoppable.
You're missing my point here. I actually think that now they have to figure out the storylines first. Like, that's just gotta get better. There's like, you're actually seeing real data now. Like, everybody, they want to fool themselves into thinking that ratings don't matter anymore. They can trick themselves all they want. They still do, obviously, and they're a big indicator as to what's going on with their television show, of course. But they need to figure out these stories. They have no choice. They gotta get coherent stories going. Then after that, they have to figure out how to tell a damn story in the ring once again. I see everybody wrestling the exact same match.
And you're right about that.
I see dives that mean nothing. I see spots that are innovative, and that if you smartly and sparingly would burn a match in your memory forever. Oh my God. Like that. I'll never forget when I first saw that. I'll never forget that. Now it's like planchas galore. Like every match has multiple. So quite literally, the only thing that you can do in professional wrestling now is screw up one of these moves and get devastatingly hurt.
Injured. Yeah.
Like, one of the only suicide dives that I can remember, and I probably, if I just go through my just in the last year, of all my reports, and just type in the keywords suicide dive, out of 52 reports, I guarantee you there will be over 500 hits.
Yeah. Oh, easily, if not more.
On the suicide dive.
If not more.
And the only one that I can really remember is the one that gave Ivar a stinger and got him a neck surgery.
Which is, and again, that's devastating that occurred.
Like, these are legitimately dangerous moves.
Yes.
It's like there's something to be said. And I always bring up the story. I know everybody's, like, I'm kind of like the old man that tells the story a couple times here, but like, one of the things that always sticks out, from watching wrestling as a teenager was like when Shawn Michaels came back. They were leading up to SummerSlam 2002 with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and on the go home show of Raw, Shawn Michaels, who everybody thought was like, if he takes a bump, he's going to be crippled, hits a plancha. I don't even remember on who, but I just remember he hit a plancha, and like, you weren't seeing planchas in every friggin' match. Yeah, like Jeff Hardy, like he would do crazy stuff, but even he knew how to pick his spots. But Shawn Michaels pulled out a plancha. He was probably the only person on the show to go over the top rope to the floor on that show. In fact, I can guarantee you that was the case. That's just burned into my memory. Because they made it mean something. Nothing means anything anymore.
Yeah,
even right. A win isn't a win anymore. They put somebody over, and then they have the person who beat them beat the crap out of them. Like they put Nikki Cross over again tonight. Okay, Nikki Cross versus Charlotte Flair.
Like you said.
It was a repeat, everything that we've already seen. And they put Nikki Cross over by count out. And you know what reward Nikki Cross got for being put over? Charlotte Flair destroyed her.
Yep.
After.
Yep.
Charlotte Flair destroyed her.
Mm-hmm.
So they put her over, but they didn't put her over. So why did you just have Charlotte Flair beat her?
Right.
Like is the pay-per-view match not Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair? It is. It's a rhetorical question. Of course it is. And so why is it so bad to put Charlotte Flair over? It's not like they're even giving Nikki Cross any real wins.
No.
Even the commentators say they're not wins.
No.
So
there was no point.
What is the overall purpose of that?
There's no overall purpose.
What is Nikki Cross going to be getting a women's title match when they go back before crowds? And
Highly doubt
that's going to work.
Highly
a couple
doubt
a DQ and a couple countouts.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Me?
Not going to get anybody
That's
excited.
how we make stars now?
Yeah, apparently. We just...
And Rhea Ripley talking like an idiot. Oh, I'm going to send Charlotte Flair to the back of the line. She's not going to have to walk very far. There's 3 women.
You're so right about that.
It's crazy.
What line? What line
is she going to send her back to? Oh, God. You could cut... Kidding me?
What line?
You could take just one long...
Just the lunch line.
Just one long stride. You could here's your legs. You could just do one long stride and you're at the back of the line.
Because she's long. She's got long legs.
It's so short. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Okay, so that's good. We covered that.
And I don't even know what the hell happened with this John Morrison versus Jeff Hardy thing. John Morrison beats him clean as a whistle. Cedric Alexander comes out and says some stupid stuff.
Oh my God. Did you see my face?
Screaming.
Did you see my face when I went to go get something in the kitchen and all of a sudden I'm like, why is he screaming like that? And we said this before. The screaming does not equate a good promo. It does not. Like when you're screaming, I'm sorry. Like again, unless it serves some sort of has some sort of meaning. Again, things don't have meanings anymore. But it's like don't scream just for the sake of screaming. Like it was really just unnecessary. It really was. Why is he screaming?
I don't. Well, I think it's for effect. I think they know.
For what effect?
I think they know it's annoying. And Gills fan, don't worry, I'm getting to that one, Gills fan, because that was ridiculous too. In fact, I put that in my recap already. But Cedric shouted, and Jeff Hardy was like, "This promo is so bad and so annoying that and you're such a dickless jobber that I'm going to put my career on the line. Right? And if I lose, I never have to listen to you again." Like that's where he's at. So now
it was still very
so they've been dumping multi-year deals left and right. It's like nobody's safe in the multi-year deal. Braun Strowman had just re-upped his contract and they fired him. So Jeff Hardy, he re-upped his contract and it looks like he's coming to the end soon.
Can you really blame him?
I don't blame him at all. But he was in a career-threatening match randomly at 8:30 at night, like half hour into the show. Jeff Hardy, who's been around for almost 25 years in WWE on and off. Is now putting his career on the line at 8:30, and he beats Cedric Alexander, and then they go to the next segment.
Can I read your tweet?
Not even like, oh, great, Jeff Hardy's here to stay.
Can I read your tweet?
Go ahead,
because it's so funny. Well, Jeff Hardy lives to fight another day, but I'm wondering if this random career-threatening stipulation is here to stay for Hardy. WWE has been dumping multi-year contracts like crazy lately, but the first line was hysterical. Well, Jeff Hardy lives to fight another.
Good for him. Lucky him.
You get to stay.
And then what followed was quite literally the worst. Just commercial. One of the just awful atrociousness. I'm glad that Eva Marie's here as a heel. I like they're bringing up Piper Niven. The commentators beating us over the head with how insulting they are.
They don't know. We don't know.
They don't know who Piper Niven is just ridiculous and just absurd.
Yeah, I'm glad that they went with with Eva Marie though. I didn't get to mention this before. I am glad though that they mentioned that. Sorry, that she is a heel coming in because that would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, but Piper Niven's match that she had was like Ivar's hot tag. So now, Piper Niven, she's a plus size wrestler. And she can move in the ring, but she has Ivar's hot tag, so somebody's got to change. It's like you can't have the bearded big guy and then the big lady doing the same stuff. It's like everybody's wrestling the same match. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. It's embarrassing that they pretend they not to know. And then that was followed immediately with Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. For God only knows why they were having a photo shoot. Dana Brooke, I don't know what I don't get it. I don't.
I never got it with her.
Like she is I don't know why they keep putting her in roles where she has to speak. I've
quite
seen
awful.
I've seen more personality from Jim Duggan's 2x4 than from friggin' Dana Brooke. She's the worst. And they're taking photos, which what are photos? But just still shots of life.
Right.
There's no sound in them.
Right.
But Natalya and Tamina exercising the ring was ruining their photo shoot. What? And oh god, and it just got worse from there because Natalya tried to say the word. Natalya tried to say the word wrong, but she's the worst promo of all time, other than Dana Brooke. And she said ronk. And it just got worse from there. Then they brawled in the ring, and I swear to God, I don't know who did it in the rest of the media group today, but they went through the women's roster list, and there's 2 women's tag teams right now.
Mm-hmm.
Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose,
yes,
and Natalya and Tamina. That's it. The Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are tied up in a dead end feud with Alexa Bliss, but still, the commentators still after this brawl, they go, the women's tag team division is heating up. And I was ready to, I was literally ready to just take this TV and just chuck it out of this goddamn house.
Then Natalya and
What
Tamina
division?
brawling with one another, women's tag team on the roster that isn't stuck in a detached storyline with Alexa Bliss and the commentators saying the women's tag team division is heating up is beyond pathetic. Dump those titles and rehab this division.
It's horrible. I don't think I think that I was that I was underplaying.
I think you were being actually. I think you were actually.
I was being kind.
I think you were actually being very tame
because I was basically watching the heartbeat monitor for the women's division. Boop boop boop. It's dead.
It's totally dead.
Horrible.
And these
and then
quote
they
unquote like things that are going to help the division are not going to help the division. There isn't anything to help it right now, unless you.
Okay.
I don't even know what to do.
Seriously, because I had this conversation with people online tonight. They're like, oh, the WWE draft can't come soon enough.
For what?
What draft number one?
For what?
What draft number one?
What are you talking
about? And what did the October 2020 draft do other than just change the backdrop that everybody's on? There isn't one fresh matchup that hasn't already been done.
No. Superstar shakeups, drafts, they don't work.
They literally took Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio who were feuding and just put them on SmackDown.
That was it.
Wow, big change.
That was it.
Oh my God.
That was it.
But Seth Rollins was probably literally the only one that changed rosters that actually gave us a fresh matchup with like Seth and Shinsuke. I mean, they did it at Survivor Series 2018, but like that felt fresh. But there's really not much that hasn't already been done. And the women waiting in the wings at NXT, like they book them well, but look what they did to Rhea Ripley. Like these people are delusional.
I never want to go up. If I wasn't worked in NXT, I would never want to go up and be like, no, I want to stay here.
I'll go make that money, but it's like, like everybody's waiting for the next big savior to come up, and
there is no savior. There is no savior.
And I think they do not understand these people. They don't get how the characters, and even when they get there, they're just gonna give them the main roster treatment anyway.
No, and especially
they're gonna get McMahonized.
Especially with the women.
Oh, yes.
They are like doomed from the start.
I mean, can Rhea Ripley look like any bigger of a loser? 3 weeks in a row, she's like sitting at ringside. Like everything's a smile.
Everything that she didn't represent.
Yes. Yeah. The goofy, like, oh, she put on black lipstick. Edgy. Oh, how edgy of you to put on your black lipstick. She shaved half of her head. She has a cut in her eyebrow. Edgy.
Oh,
edgy.
dear Lord, everyone. Are we seeing this
She's got
right
nothing.
now?
She's a nothing.
She was a cheerleader a few weeks ago.
She's
Rah, rah.
nothing.
Woo!
She's nothing.
It's
like the women.
Quite opposite.
It's like the women main event at WrestleMania 35, and instead of saying, "Okay, what's next?" they just go, "Well, we did it. We proved them wrong.
We had it.
Everybody said that.
Yes.
Everybody said that we couldn't book women,
That was it.
and we did it.
That was
and we
it.
got them to main event WrestleMania 35.
That was
and
it.
Now it's time to go back
They
down
said
to earth.
this is exactly what they said. They're like, okay, we'll give them one pay-per-view where it's solely dedicated to them. We'll do that, right? Then we'll have them main event a WrestleMania. We did our job. What else is there to do?
No, you're wrong. They did not ask what else is there to do. They just said we did it, and now it's time to go back to reality.
That's it.
That's what they did. That's what they did. They put them in the main event. Sasha Banks cried and took 6 months off television, and they just went back to normal.
But is this a fair assessment, though? A fair statement? I feel like it's even worse now because the fact that we had a taste of like, wow, they're really pumping up this women's division. Now it's worse. It's even and everyone's gonna think I'm crazy. It's even worse than when you had bra and panty matches and when they didn't even care. At least you knew your role. At least you knew your role.
At least there were feuds. at least I could tell the difference between those women. Like I actually think the era when Kelly, who could barely hit the ropes, and Eve Torres and Maurice and Michelle McCool and Layla. I'm just rattling off names that I just remember.
Bella Twins.
The Bella Twins. Like those were better times.
They were.
Because they actually had storylines.
Yes.
They had characters that you knew who the
you
hell
knew
they were.
Yeah. Even if they weren't great
generic.
in the ring, no.
And it's like yes, the wrestling product has taken a step up.
Oh, 100%.
But the character work and the storyline continuity and the talent roster is at an all-time low. All-time low.
Totally.
AJ Lee, Billy Hefner too. Of course. You know, like
I associate AJ Lee more with like the good times.
There's none of those people.
Like the really good times.
Like you know, like Rhea Ripley's had 6 or 7 matches since WrestleMania. Asuka's been involved in all but 1. There have been 3 Rhea Ripley versus Asuka singles matches since WrestleMania. 3 WrestleMania rematches in a span of 2 months. That's crazy.
I've said
that's crazy.
This too.
And you know why? Because there's nobody else for Rhea Ripley to face.
No, there's not.
And if she faces Charlotte Flair, then that's the pay-per-view match. So she's got to face Asuka a million times.
A million times.
Or lose to friggin' Nikki Cross like a total dumbass.
What's really bad is, too, I feel like we're
China,
we're
of course.
In costumes. We're just in costumes.
No.
At this point.
Yes, they're playing wrestler.
There's nothing behind it, though. Like you said before, with Rhea Ripley, it's cool. You have the shaved head. Her look, great. Love her look.
Cool
love
look.
The black lipstick. Love the shaved head. Love the leather. Love the studs. Love the piercings. Cool ass look. But there's nothing behind it. It's a costume. But there's no character in there. On NXT, there was that little edginess and that whatever, but not here, not in the main roster.
Yeah. All they do is play wrestler. There's no wrestlers on the show. They just play whatever they think a wrestler is. And another thing that I'm just so sick and tired of, I've mentioned this before. I'm sick and tired of all these women and also men too, because they have everybody do this. Everybody has to kiss the goddamn ring on this show, and they all have to just be like, I'm just so happy to be here. This is where I'm meant to.
No.
I'm tired of that.
No, I'm tired of that too.
I'm so tired of that. I'm tired of, it's like, how about instead of acting like, you've never been to the show and you're just happy to be there, like whatever happened to acting like you've been there, done that, even if you never have, where's the swagger on these people? They're all just like, oh, this is my childhood dream. And every time they win a title, Rhea Ripley, I don't know if she's a heel or a face or whatever, but she was crying at WrestleMania. It's like, God almighty.
They're doing me a favor. Like they're just doing me a favor. It's not. They're not.
I'm tired of that kiss the ring shit. I'm just tired of it. Like WWE's like they're like narcissists. It's like, oh, you have to tell us how great we are. I'm tired of that. Trish Stratus, Stacey Keebler, Tori Wilson, these names, Sable. She came back in 03, 04. It's like, even Nydia with Jamie Noble, like everybody had storylines. Victoria, of course, one of the all-time greats. Victoria's wonderful. Ivory, Jacqueline, Terry Runnels,
Mickey James,
Tori, the really horrible wrestler that was with Kane, and she was way better with Kane. Woman, like,
you knew who they were.
You knew who they were. They all had storylines that were memorable. I'm sure you can remember at least one storyline with all of these people. It's like everything just bleeds in. There's nothing interesting about this women's division. Nothing. And if they think Alexa Bliss is gonna be the needle mover here, they are delusional. Alexa Bliss taking it to Nia Jax. Is Nia Jax a face now? Like, what the hell is that about?
I guess anybody.
That was a horrible match.
I think anybody against Alexa Bliss is a face in some sense.
Anybody who faces Alexa Bliss is going to come out the worst for it. That's really that's really what it is. But
faces are embarrassing, so yeah.
It's just, oh my god. Okay. Anyway, RK Bro versus the New Day. I thought that was a really good match. I was surprised that they gave it away on free TV rather than doing it on the pay-per-view, but actually I like the idea of giving it away on free TV so it could shine more on the show than like just being lost in the shuffle at a pay-per-view. So that
needed it desperately.
That was well done. And that was a needed shot in the arm. But that was pretty much it. Like the MVP Kofi Kingston segment again was pretty good to set up, obviously the future Kofi versus Bobby Lashley thing. They did Elias versus Jackson Riker again. Same exact finish as last week. Elias getting purposely counted out. So I just cannot believe that they're going to go on the road with Jackson Riker as a face. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it.
Can you believe it?
I cannot. Because Jackson Riker is the most generic nothing burger. The worst wrestler. No. It's just not. That's not.
That's the whole pile of no.
And then 45 minutes of Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles, turning into Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders versus AJ Styles, Omos, and Bobby Lashley. It was good stuff, but God, it just dragged. The in-ring stuff was good, but it's just like the roster's so thin. I mean, they could have given us Angel Garza, who now hasn't been seen in a couple weeks, shoving another rose up of Drew Gulak's ass, or whoever else, like Ricochet, Humberto Carrillo. They could have sent Sheamus out there with his busted nose again. That would have been fine.
There's so many things that they could have done.
Like Mansoor, they were doing those segments with Mansoor. There was no Mansoor tonight. There was no Mansoor and Mustafa Ali. That would have been nice to get some follow up there instead of get 45 minutes of this that just got dragged out to no end. But again, even if they put Mustafa Ali and Mansoor, it's not like it's going to, greatly improve the show or anything like that. But you wouldn't have to stretch these guys out. It was
different.
You don't want to overexpose your main event.
No.
But they did, of course.
They did.
I mean, this show's miserable at 3 hours. It just is.
Well,
that's another thing that's killing it.
It's something like that.
That's another thing that's killing it.
It's something like that, like that 45 minutes that really does just showcases wholeheartedly how bad the 3 hours is.
Well, and it's also the start of the week, and it's like I forget where I saw this, but somebody made a really good point about you watch Monday Night Raw. And it's so bad and it's so negative that when you watch stuff the rest of the week, it's like, God, wrestling.
Yeah.
And it just puts a damper on the whole entire week of, for professional wrestling. This third hour has done more damage to this company than I think they could ever really truly realize. Yes, they've gotten more revenue and all that, but they've never been less popular, in my opinion. They got their TV deals because these TV companies love live content. They need live content, and WWE gives them 52 weeks of it every year.
Right, because there's never a break.
That's the only.
It's true.
There's no off season, so they get their live content. That's very valuable to these places. But my God, that third hour is just it's just driving people away. It really is. Everybody that I talked to that's a former fan, it's like I stopped. When Raw went to 3 hours, that was it. For those that even hung on that long. God.
And then when you watch it, and then even if you did watch for a little while after the 3 hours, it's because it's so it's so obvious how much they have to drag stuff out and how they have to do certain things in their show.
They don't even enjoy themselves.
Mm-mm.
They don't even look
I mean,
like they're
between
having
the
fun
packaging
sometimes.
and
They don't even look like they're having fun sometimes.
no,
you know,
because it's what's fun about it. You know, it's
they gotta end this brand split. It's just miserable.
It's because
there's
no
not
value
enough people.
There's not
how
enough
do they
people.
how do they have such an extensive roster and they don't even have enough people to fill up a 3-hour show for Raw?
No,
it just doesn't make sense.
it doesn't.
Jorge Oliva brings up Katie Vick had more friggin' personality than some of these women do these days. Anyway, that's Raw. What everybody in the chat room, tell us what you thought of Monday Night Raw. Give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. Let us know. Victoria, what did you think of Monday Night Raw?
I think it's pretty obvious. I give it a thumbs down.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do the same exact thing. I have to give that a thumbs down as well because it was. I think it's. To say it was a chore is almost ridiculous at this point.
Yeah,
it was miserable to get through. 76% of the people agree with us. Thumbs down. That's over 3/4 agreeing with us. People in the chat room, what do you think? So Brian gives it a fat thumbs down. Gills fan gives a thumbs down. Daniel Shelton, Antonio Brown rap album is better than Raw. Thumbs down. Andrew Elder was the one who made the list on Facebook. Thank you. Okay, good. Raw was wrong, but this show is good as always. Thank you very much. Machine Walls, thumbs down. Jorge Oliva, wrestling was okay, but barely a thumbs up. Okay, all right. That's an honest assessment right there. Shifty Gizm. Shifty's here. Hey, Shifty.
Hey.
Didn't watch Eastbound and Down and Antiques Roadshow for me. That's a smart man right there. That's a smart guy.
You're good, Shifty.
I am alpha thumbs down. It was the best match was a replay match. Arcade Bro versus New Day. Quentin Walters, Raw sounded like it was a shit show. I never watched it. Slipmush, Raw is wrong. Billy Hefner down, but it was not the worst I've seen. No, it certainly wasn't.
And he's right, and he's right about that.
Daniel Shell doing what I wish I was doing, playing MLB The Show 20. Shale. I am alpha. Corey Howell, thumbs down. Mike and Victoria, thumbs up. Thank you. If you liked what you saw tonight, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We are happy to be also streaming live on Facebook. So give us a thumbs up on Facebook if you enjoyed the show. We will be back. I think we'll definitely have a post show covering Hell in a Cell on Sunday. So make sure you check that out. Mr. Roy Nemmer will be back on Friday with the SmackDown post show recap. So make sure you check out that show. All right, everybody. I am Mike Tedesco.
I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Yes, you are. Have a great week. And I might see you on Sunday, or maybe I'll put Victoria on the show with Roy. I don't know yet, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I want to enjoy my Father's Day. So I'll do some soul searching this week and see what I'm going to do. All right, everybody. Be well. Have a good week.
Bye, everyone.